a history. Yeah. Hello, everyone. How are you doing? You're welcome to our program today. My name is Decency Onyekachi, and today is yet another Friday. It's our Friday night series that we're going to have today, and then we have our guest speaker. Our guest speaker is going to be, educating us about her journey to the US and all the, things that we need to learn about her journey. Everybody's journey to different countries is unique. And the reason why her own is unique is that she's been to the UK and then she's been to the US. Currently, she is in the US, and then she'll be giving us the two versions, the two perspectives, the challenges she had moving to the UK, the challenges she had moving to the US. I believe it's going to be a very good, deliberation today. So kindly just sit tight. We're going to have a question and answer at the end of our meeting. So if you have any questions about her journey, about anything that she can, help us to answer, then at the end of the meeting will be the best time for you to ask that question. But one other thing I want you to gain from this meeting is that if you have friends of, brothers or relations that want to have access to universities that have low tuition and the rest of them, she is in a very good spot to provide you with some of those information. So Lynda is not a small name when it comes to social media. Lynda is one of the very well-known social media influencers that we have in our generation. I think her YouTube account, she has up to 30,000 followers, and then she's been posting every day. Even today, she tried to post and give people information on the go. So even if you are not, following her right now, it's a good time for you to follow her and see the amazing work she has done in the past. So permit me just to bring in Lynda. Lynda Eze, if you're here. Oh, yes, there she is. I see her. Oh, Lynda, how are you doing today? Yeah. You can unmute yourself. I've asked you to unmute. Hello. I still can't hear you. I don't know if it's from me or from everybody. Can you guys hear Lynda, please? Can you tell me in the comment section if you can hear Lynda?
Can you hear me?
No, now, yes. Now we can hear you.
Yeah,
Great.
okay.
How are you doing, Lynda?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Good to
Thank you so
have you
for this
here. It's not
opportunity.
easy to find people like you. So thank you for honoring us today,
Oh,
Thank
thank
you
you so
for
much, boss.
Yeah. All right. So Lynda, we are expectant. Everybody want to hear. There's a lot, going on, especially for people who are not here in the US already. And my population, I have people from Brazil, people from UK, people from Nigeria. They all told me in the comment section. I don't know if you were here, but we kind of had a chat just to know how many people we have here. And amazingly, majority of them, one thing that connects all of us is that we want to make a move. And you've made that move 2 times, okay? So first of all, I'm just going to let you do, I know you are Lynda Eze, and I know you are a nursepreneur. I know you have your, bachelor's in nursing science and all that. But I want you to throw more light on your own personal introduction. Just introduce yourself for us and then we can go from there, okay? Mm-hmm.
Okay, hi everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm really excited to be here. I'm always happy to share my journey because I believe that just like Boss Decency said, everyone's journey is different, and when you listen to other people's experiences, it helps you, like it motivates you, and it also helps you to make certain decisions, right? So I'm really excited to be here. I am a nurse, a registered nurse, and I studied in Nigeria, and I've been a nurse for 10 years. So I graduated in Nigeria, and I worked as a nurse for 5 years, and then I moved to the UK. In the UK, I worked there for almost 4 years, and then I decided to move to the United States. I would say that it's been like quite a journey, and I'm really excited, and I'm really happy that I've passed through all these, like from Nigeria to the UK to the US. And right now in the US, I can say I'm really happy that I decided to make that move, and that I didn't give up, and I found myself here. So that's
Oh,
basically my background. While in Nigeria, I did my BSc. I did a BSc nursing straight away, and also did a master's degree in community health nursing. So right now in the US, I'm also studying to become a nurse practitioner. So I'll give you details as we go on, and
okay.
I will share how I decided to, or how I started all of that. Hopefully, some people that also want to do that, they will find something that will help them in their journey. So thank you so much, boss, for.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you, Linda. See, that's so that I just in my mind I was struggling. I was like, should I ask her to introduce herself or not? Because I know I may have done the introduction haphazardly, so I didn't want to, cause more havoc. I wanted you to give me those full load. And there's a lot that she said now that I didn't even know about. So I didn't know she was doing her nurse practitioner, but we'll get to that. But first of all, let us take it from Nigeria. I know you were, you're already a master's degree holder in Nigeria. So for me, I think you were already doing well when it comes to nursing education. Okay. So let's look at nursing education in Nigeria. How do you view nursing education in Nigeria? How is it like? In your own perspective. I won't judge you. I won't blame you for anything you say here. Okay.
So, one thing I can say about nursing education in Nigeria is that it's not bad. It's actually good. It's good in its own way, and I'm happy that I studied in Nigeria, because when I compare my own journey studying in Nigeria and the journeys of those that maybe did their whole nursing program in the UK, and then when I see other colleagues from the Philippines, from Kenya, like, I'm proud that I actually studied in Nigeria. So our nursing education in Nigeria is not bad. And one thing I want to actually point out is that, because we hear a lot of stories, like we hear a lot of things about our education and all of that, and it gives us this kind of, or maybe most of us, when we find ourselves outside our country, that is Nigeria, maybe in the UK or the US, we start with this low self-esteem. We think that other people are better than us and all of that. But what I have discovered is that it's not really, maybe the exposure is different, but what they taught us is actually like a good standard,
Yeah.
and it can help you to excel anywhere you are. So I know that in Nigeria, we have people that go through nursing school, and we have people that go through the bachelor's program, or people that go through both. So I've seen people that still migrated without getting their BSc, and they are doing well. The same with those that just went through the university, because I know in Nigeria, there's always this clash whether going to nursing school is better, or going through the BSc program is better. What I found out is that we all do well when we eventually migrate. So it's good. I would say that our standard in
For
Nigeria
real.
so far, for
Yeah.
me, we still compete, very well when we find ourselves outside Nigeria.
Right.
So I
Right.
think it's good. Mhm.
Right. So this one, she is a proud Nigerian. Okay. So it can never be better. And I'm also one that is a proud Nigerian. I believe in my country so much. There are so many things, so many good things that we need to focus on. And there's a lot of things going on everywhere in the world. There's everything, but it depends what your country is projecting. Okay. If your country is projecting the negative aspects of your country, then it becomes like what everybody is going to know. But if your country, concentrate on projecting the positive aspects of your country, that's what people are going to know your country for. So it's all about how we view it, how we project it, what we tell people about it. So for me, I share the same vision with her. All the nurses that I've seen that have migrated, come into the US, they are all doing well. If we didn't have a good training, trust me, we won't be where we are today. So I share the same view with her. So, but let's come down a little bit to the migration process. You saw US. I believe like on the table you had US, you had UK, you had Canada, and then you chose UK. What made you do that?
Oh, well, so I would say, right from time, I actually chose the US, but as you all know, like, the process is kind of confusing. I remember the first time I joined Decently, I was like, where is this program? Like, where have you been all my life? I needed this kind of program, because it was like finding information, who to ask questions, and all of that was like really hard for me. So the process is kind of long, confusing. Even when you want to do it yourself, it's so I found out that going to the UK is actually easier, and I don't have to travel back and forth if I want to write my NCLEX. So even where I stayed in the UK, I lived in London in the UK just because I know the NCLEX exam center is there. So everything has been like to get to the end, which is the US. So that's exactly the reason why I decided to move to the UK. So it has always been the US in my mind, and that's why, yeah.
My
So
guest
US
is
was just
really
part of,
smart.
UK was just part of the journey.
My guest is really smart. So it was a calculated step. Every step that you took was calculated towards an end goal, right? So
Yes.
when you were trying to get to the UK, your destination was the US, and then you had in mind that once you get there, you want to live in a city that is closer to the testing center. That's all about, making sure you do your due diligence, do your homework, it's just a lot of people get frustrated when they try something and it doesn't work. They be like, oh, Zoom, let's go to the nearest available option. But some other people cool down and just calculate their steps. Okay, in the next year, I'll get here. In the next 2 years, I'll get here. In the next 3 years, I'm here. And before you know it, those things with, effort and it it begins to come together and form that reality that you're looking out for. So first of all, how is the process to the UK? I know, but just give us an idea of what it means or what someone needs to get together to get to the UK. You know these things and you say it every day on your channel. So say it to us.
Okay.
We have the
Okay.
privilege
So
of getting you today.
okay, so for the UK, I think for everyone here, if you have been trying to move abroad as a nurse, you must have come across the UK process like in one way or the other. So I feel like the UK process is actually very straightforward. And you can even start the process without like writing your English exam, but the um, English proficiency is one of like this is the big thing when it comes to moving to the UK. So most people we recommend starting with writing your NCLEX, writing your IELTS and making sure that you get the minimum requirement at least. So that once you are able to get that, I feel like UK, like within 6 months, you can finish the process once you pass your IELTS. So once you pass your IELTS, the process is in the NMC website. You can just go through the process, like you verify your documents from whatever country you are from with the NMC, and then you get a job if it is that route that you want to go through. So you get a job as a nurse, and that your employer we give you a certificate of sponsorship that you will use for your visa. I said when you get your visa, you have 3 years work visa to work in the UK, and then you can renew that after that. Then after 5 years, you get your independent leave to remain. So basically, it's kind of straightforward. Once you're able to, or if you're from English speaking country already, then the process is easy for you, right? So you just go to NMC website and verify your documents, like register, get the necessary document, verify your document with the NMC in your home country and NMC in the UK, then get a job, and that's basically the process. Then if you are from a country where English is second language, then you need the English proficiency. So right now it's 7 across board apart from writing that is 6.5. So it's better now because before it was 7 across board. But now they reduce it to 6.5, and there's rumor that they might reduce it again, but who knows? So yes, so once you get your IELTS and then you verify your documents, that means you're already a nurse in your home country, you can actually go. So some people even go to the UK without having any experience at all, because some of the hospitals, they have a program for new nurses and then they need nurses. And then, but if you have experience, then it makes the process easier as well, or getting a job easier, and then you can move. So the process for the UK is actually easy
Very
if you ask
easy.
me relatively, yeah.
Wow, wow. So if you need more information about, the process to get to UK, you can follow Linda Eze on YouTube. She has all that, covered in all her publications. She's been making a lot of videos about how to go to UK, how to go to Australia, even some countries I don't know their name before. When I go to her channel, I be like, is there a country like this? So she has that, so many countries, and you can follow her Lynda Eze. So, but let's look at life in the UK in general. So, life in the UK, the experience, how was it? Just give me an overview. When you remember UK, what do you remember? Good or bad?
Okay. Okay. For the UK is actually a very interesting place to be. I know some of us here are already in the UK and you can relate. UK is actually a very in the US, I usually tell them it's pretty, like it's nice, a nice place to be. So, and I feel like their own healthcare system is also very good. You learn a lot when you work in the UK. It's they offer a lot of holidays and they also offer a lot of training. So you have opportunity of upskilling when you are in the UK. And they allow you to, they allow you to learn in the UK. That's one beautiful thing in the UK. They allow you to learn. They give you that opportunity to learn. You go through preceptorship, but I think it actually depends on the hospital that you get a job. So usually they have this program for international students, international nurses in different, and I work with the NHS. So they have that program. So it helps you to transition. The only challenge most people encounter in the UK, big challenge actually, is getting accommodation, especially if you're in the city. And some people also say they have that problem as well when they are not in the city as well. So, but getting accommodation is usually a challenge, especially if you decide to bring your family. But overall, UK is a nice place to work. Some people find success, many people find success working in the UK and they work in the UK for a long time as well.
Okay.
And it's a nice place to grow your skill,
Awesome.
especially.
Awesome. I feel like going to the UK. Are you sure I'm not gonna go back and try to get my own license, my own UK nursing license? Your glory, you just glorified UK. I used to, in my mind, when I remember UK, I just remember the tiny road I see on some movies, those little tiny roads. I'm like, no, no, I'm gonna bash my car. So but now you've given me another perspective about the UK, and I know so many people right here who can relate to what you're saying because we have a lot of people from the UK as well. So now let's come down to the US. Guys, we're gonna get to the main issue, okay? We're just trying to get to know Lynda because she has traversed the whole continent, I would say. Been to Africa, been to Europe, and now you are in the United States. So almost, I won't say all, but almost all. But um, you know, coming down to the US now, processing from the UK. How was it, all together, joined together? Did you do your interview? Now I want you to like give us very clear picture. Did you do your embassy interview in UK or you have to come back to Nigeria? It doesn't matter if I know that answer, but some people do not know. Some people are still thinking if I go to UK when I want to do my embassy interview, I have to come back to Nigeria. So how was all that? How did it play out? Just give us an idea about migrating to the US from the UK.
So I feel like migrating from the UK to the US is actually easier. Even I used an agency. So the agency I used to move to the United States, I had to go for their recruitment program live. And they were like, oh, you're already in the UK. The process should be very easy. In fact, like within 12 months, we should be almost be done. So, but I think it actually depends on the individual. It depends on your home country as well, because even as you're in the UK, they are still seeing you as a Nigerian. So if there's any delay or even like at a point when they said Nigerians are not allowed to go to the United States, even though we are in the UK, we are still among, right? So
Okay,
they will
right.
still see you as someone from Nigeria. But the thing is that you can do all the process from the UK. So I wrote the exam on the UK, applied afresh. Like I didn't start the process at all in Nigeria. So I started everything. In the UK and did the interview, everything in the UK. So I didn't have to go back to Nigeria for anything or the interview or anything like that. So I had to do everything from the UK.
Okay.
And all the other processes like getting your documents and everything, I had to do it from the UK. Again, is if you're already in the UK, that means you have a license in the UK as well.
Mhm.
So I had to verify the UK license. I had to verify my Nigerian license as well. But the beautiful thing is that verifying UK license is very, very easy. You just have to like ask for it
Online.
online within a day, sometimes within a day or two. They've already sent the document and everything. So it's easy and cheap as well. So I had to do those two things. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll give some credit to Nigerian Nursing and Midwifery Council. They've really been improving recently. I know it used to be a lot of ceremony for you to get your, license verified. They have to, conduct a ceremony for you, call the DHL people, they will come and dance, and then they will call people from Abuja village, they will come, and all of that. It's a big ceremony before they can send. But right now, they are beginning to do things online, and you can monitor the progress from wherever you are. Kudos to Nigerian National Medical Council. But I'm still asking them, they can actually do better also in some other areas like license renewal. I know they are working on something. I don't know if it's out now, but I believe they should also emulate some of these developed countries so that we can enjoy doing things seamlessly without any headache, So it's always good like that. All right, so moving to the US, did you like move together with your family, or you have to come here first, then your family joined you later? Because some people ask me that question, do I have to come with my family first, or leave my family to come in here and like Moses, you go and prepare the ground and then come and take your people, something like that. How did you do it?
So for the US is really good. So when you say, okay, when you have already waited for the whole long process, I really like that aspect of it's easier to move with your family straight away, because as you're getting your documents, your family members, they are getting their documents as well. So it's a lot easier to move with your family. Accommodation is not an issue at all. I don't think I've seen anybody like say, I can't get accommodation in the US. So like it's easy. I moved with my family straight away. But when I was moving to the UK, I stayed 2 months, or 2 months, just approximately 2 months, and then my family joined me. So, but it was easier. We moved together when we were moving to the US. I know that some people sometimes they are afraid as well, like because if you're moving with the agency and then you have to go through 6 weeks program in some cases, then some people want to allow their family members to stay back somewhere and then they come later. But if you want to move with your family, it's doable. Many people do that.
Oh,
And if you want them to come later as well, it's easier.
awesome. Awesome. I think I like the one of moving with family, because I've seen somebody during the regime administration of Trump. I've seen someone who came in here alone, and before she could get herself to send for her family, there was a ban on a certain country in Africa, and they said you can't bring it, you can't move, you can't even do anything, and that affected the family from coming, that kind of thing. So it's always good, like when it is time to do something, just do it. If it's the time to do
Yeah.
something, when the time is right, do it, and let the whole family join. That's unless there is any reason, financial situation, or something that is out of the ordinary that needs to be addressed before you come over. But if everything is okay and you're just afraid of uncertainties, just do it. Come in here. There's a lot of support. Call me, call anybody. We are willing to help. Okay. Once you get in, you will be fine. Okay. When you're not somewhere, you will always be filled with that fear of uncertainty. What will happen when I get there? But when you eventually get there, you find out it's not as you have imagined. All right. So now I just want us to do a little bit of just let me ask you one more question. Do you still renew your license in the UK? Do you still renew it?
So that's a big question. I just renewed my license in the UK. I don't know why. I just felt like, oh, all of them should be active. And I don't know, when I was in the process for the US, they always say, oh, keep all your licenses active, keep all your licenses active. You need to do that. So I have been doing that. I'm not sure why I'm supposed to renew my UK license, but personally, they are all active. I don't know if there's any advantage, but yeah.
Well, I would say advantage per se, but it's always good to have. If you are UK licensed, it's always good to have it. You might be traveling through UK and there's something that happened and good Samaritan law and you have to do something. You have your
Okay.
license. They can look you up. You're still a professional that can, practice in that country. It's good to know. If I had UK license, I would always renew it, honestly. I would do the same thing
Okay.
you're doing. Yeah, it's always good to have it. And now here in the US and in the UK, I know there's one thing that most of the people that I talk to always talk about is like, okay, going to the US, going to the UK. UK is more calm, they have less racism and less gun violence, and then the US is more rowdy with everybody having a gun, people killing people in front of you. In fact, some people used to where I used to work before, I believe I don't know if my matron will be watching me. One of my matron actually, she called me once and was like, "Don't go to the US. That place is there is just a den of murderers. They're gonna come in and shoot you for no reason and the rest of them." I'm like, okay, that's not what I saw when I went there the first time because I've actually traveled to the US before, before coming back to do all the process. So now comparing both countries, which one, do you feel more at peace? And, do you think people would feel more at peace? If it's not a good question for you, you can leave it though. And then
No,
racism.
that's actually a good question because at some point I even feel somehow talking about this because people think you're lying when you say that US is good. So
Mm-hmm.
when we stepped foot anyway, people always say that when I'm talking about the US, I should always remember that the US is so big and what's happening in Texas might be quite different from what's happening in New York and
Right,
Washington and all of that.
right,
So I want to say that
right.
like I'm in Texas, so maybe my experience will be different from someone that is in Montana or some of those
Mm-hmm.
places. So when we moved to Texas, so we moved from London to Texas, we felt like, okay, so, and I think that's one thing that, in fact, it removed like 50% of the stress. In fact, this move is interesting, exciting, but it's not easy. Like moving with family, especially if you have kids. So the whole process, when you get there, you start registering for that, and that is very stressful.
Mm-hmm.
But when we moved from London to Texas, in fact, our stress reduced by half, like by half.
Really?
We felt like we went back to Nigeria. Like that's how we normally describe it. We felt like
Wow.
we went back to Nigeria.
Home.
And there's this there was this maybe do I say peace or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately you start seeing people that you can talk to, even though they are so different. They even speak another language. Maybe they are Spanish people, but like they are interested where you are coming from. They want to share their stories. They want to show you things. They want to like show you how how
To
long
do
they've lived
things.
in wherever they are, what they do, and all of that. So that really made us feel very, very welcome. So far, I would say that it's not as we were also scared because my colleagues were like, don't go to the US, don't go to why not Canada? Even
Mm-hmm.
almost all my colleagues in the UK, I don't think I remember anyone that said they just said, oh, because of money, there is more
Mm-hmm.
money, it's more
Mm-hmm.
money. But they made me feel like it's more money. That's why I want to go to the United States. Why not Canada? US is not safe. So we
Mm-hmm.
were a bit scared. Like I was like, after all writing all this exam, I have to go there and see. So,
Right.
but so far it has been a good experience. I've not had like any experience I would say, oh, maybe I should have stayed back
Mm-hmm.
in the UK. I think when I told myself that a little bit was like when I started registering for everything, I was like, all this process again, getting used to
Mm-hmm.
this place. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
would have just stayed back in the UK.
Right.
But now I feel like it's just worth it. We feel
Great.
at home. I'm not seeing any violence. People
Mm-hmm.
are just happy here. And then one thing I used to measure is that when I measure like my Nigerians that have stayed 20 years, 30 years in the UK, do I think they are very happy? Do I dream to be like them? I think the answer is no, but I'm sorry. but
We may have some ardent
but in
UK residents
I'm
here that will
sorry.
come for
I'm
you.
sorry, but in the UK, in the US, I feel like people are happy. And then you are like, if you see someone that has stayed 5 years, 10 years, you feel like, oh, okay, if this person has stayed 5 years and is this happy, okay. I'm going to be okay. Like I have
Right,
that hope that I'll be fine. I'll be fine
right,
at
right.
some point. So that's my own experience now.
Mhm.
I'm in Texas again, so maybe another person's experience will be different, but it's been positive all through. And even
Awesome.
the security, we've had security issues the first place we lived, and we had to call the police, unfortunately, and they were so good. Like, when you've heard all these things about US and then you have to deal with police, we
Mhm.
felt like, but they were good, asking us questions. They were like very professional and everything. So it's been positive all through. And
Right.
that is actually a very sincere, like truthful comment from me.
Recommendation.
Yeah.
I trust you to do that. I trust you to do that because I saw a video recently that said US is overrated. And I watched that video. I'm like, I don't totally agree with you, though. I know I've not been to the UK, but I talk with my friends who are in the UK because another thing you also judge it with is how much stays in your pocket at the end of the day. You work in UK, same number of hours and the rest of them. Oh, I like UK, and honestly, because UK has good holiday, and if you're still in the age of giving birth, I think you would really enjoy all those maternity leave that they give. They give you very long. Did you enjoy one of that? Did you give birth in the UK?
Yeah, so I gave birth in the UK
Oh,
and I stayed, yeah, and
how
I
many
stayed
how many
long.
months did you
It was
stay?
really good, yes. So they have a very good. I've not given birth or in the US, so I can't really compare, but they have
US,
like
don't
a
go
top
there. Don't
holiday.
go there. US, even if there's a way for you to start working the next day after giving birth, they will welcome you.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, US is not like that, but I know US is like I think my wife is like 6 weeks. Then you can voluntarily add 2 more weeks to it because maybe if you have extra PTOs or you've been saving your time offs, you don't want to take time off, and then you have to. But I know someone said maternity leave here in the UK is 1 year. Who been
Yeah,
one?
so in the UK, I stayed 8 months. So it's 1 year
What are
and
you
it's
doing? Watching Netflix?
no.
What were you
But
doing
yeah.
for 8 good months?
Yeah, and they will pay you as well. You get paid, but most people when um when your salary drops, most people return to work when their salary drops. So they just go back to work.
Oh, okay, because
Yeah.
the salary they are paying is not as, someone who is working, right?
For me, the difference wasn't really much. Yeah, but they paid full. I think they paid full for 6 months. I can't remember, but they paid full for most of the months, and then they started paying half. And
Mm,
then if I had stayed longer, it will be dropping.
reducing again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now we have some comments. Someone said, I think it's Kiki.
Yeah, I
Kiki
think she's
said,
right. They
yeah, Kiki
pay
said one
after
year, right?
6 months, they pay her. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then someone in Brazil said in Brazil also you get one full. It's also 1 year in Brazil with one full monthly payment. Oh my God, you guys are enjoying. It's just like Nigeria. Per se, like when we were in Nigeria, we had our 3 kids in Nigeria, and for each of those kids, I think my wife stayed for 4 months maternity leave. So I used to tell her she stayed a complete 9 months. No, it was 1 year, right? 4 months times. That's it. So she stayed for 4 months for all those kids that we had in Nigeria, and it was a great help for us as a family then. And then talking about people who stay 1 year, I think it's a blessing if you are in the UK now. If you're not really you don't have anything you're thinking about, just give birth in the UK and enjoy yourself. Okay. So now let me ask you one more question. There's two things that I see people, have challenges with when they come to the US. Number one is communication. Number two is the clinical adaptation, like how to adapt to the culture, clinical setting. Okay. So now you've been to the UK, and I know that if I'm to start speaking like the UK, that kind of thing, if I start like that, I know you're going to switch immediately to that UK setting, and then you're here in the US, and I believe you have noticed that the accent of the US is different from that of the UK, and they both speak at different paces. And how was it adapting to this? It's just like an old person going to learn a new language. It's always difficult, right? So how did you feel with all these changes? Did it put any kind of pressure on you? You know, was there things you did to be able to cope well in those situations?
Okay, so I will say that for both, they have their own unique challenges. In the UK, we have all these preceptorship, and then we have like the clinical preceptors coming to the wards and making sure that you're getting everything right. Then you have someone in the ward as well that is a preceptor that you can ask questions, and they give you like 6 months to adapt. But I think that's what it's supposed to be. But because they are usually short, they make you to start taking patients, and then someone is supposed to look over. So they have that setting to allow you to adapt quickly in the UK. But because the nurses are usually short, so what happens is that they allow you to take care of these patients, and then the charge nurse is supposed to give you support. And then when you don't get that, that's where you get the pressure, like when you don't have enough support. So I feel like because what you're supposed to do in the UK is a little bit less, kind of, so you adapt. Apart from the workload, you adapt quickly in
In the
the
UK.
UK. So,
Mm.
but I think in the US, I think maybe because we come, they already know that we are not new nurses and we are coming from an agency, so they expect us to know so many things already.
Right.
And then when you get to the US, they also have that process. Anywhere you work, you have a preceptor that is supposed to show you how things work, right? But because you're already a nurse, you're not a very, very new nurse. Some of them, so I think that's general for nurses
Yeah.
everywhere. If you
Right.
get someone that is good, you'll be happy. But if you get someone that will bully you, that will say that, some of them, instead of being like a real preceptor, they'll be watching to see whether you know this. If you now if
Exactly.
you don't know it, and
Exactly.
then they will start. One thing that is different a little bit in the US and in the UK is that in the US they talk. In the UK, they don't talk, but in the US, they kind of talk, oh, she can do this. Like, they'll praise you if you can, and they
Mm-hmm.
will say, oh, she doesn't know how to do this if you can.
Mm-hmm.
And they also say that about themselves. But for us international nurses, we feel very bad when they talk about our skills. But I've discovered, like in this 1 year, I've discovered that it cuts across, like they like to talk about whether this person is good or not.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
what I have noticed is that they also talk about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
In the UK, I can't remember anybody asking me if I've done advanced degree, how many years I've been a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
But in the US, they sing it. Like, once the nurse comes in, she's telling the
Mm-hmm.
patient, I've been a nurse for 10 years and
Mm-hmm.
I've worked here for like the past couple of years. All these things are very, very, if I don't know anything, I'll get somebody. So they are very confident. If you see a very new nurse, they are like confident in saying whatever they know. But
Mm-hmm.
for us, when we come, because some of us don't have that background of like showing off. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I call it showing off, but they
No,
don't
it's
see it
actually
as
showing
showing
off,
off.
but it's show off in a good way, honestly. It's actually showing off
Yeah,
in a good way.
so it's showing
Because
off
I've
it helps
actually, yeah, go ahead.
maybe the patient or whoever you're serving to have confidence in your skills.
Right,
But most of
right.
us international nurses, because when we came like from Kenya, from the Philippines, we don't have that culture of telling people that we have been a nurse for 10
Right,
years, we
right.
have advanced degree. So
Mm-hmm.
usually they will start seeing us as a new nurse, and
Mm-hmm.
then they can lose confidence in your skill very quickly if you ask
Right,
questions twice.
right, right.
So what I have noticed, anyway, I changed jobs within a year
Okay.
in the US. So, and
Mm-hmm.
before I changed jobs, I remember telling my colleagues they are from Kenya. I told them that in my next job, I'm going to behave like Americans. I'm going
Right,
to behave like
right.
somebody that is trained in America. Like, I'll
Mm-hmm.
show up. Like, if I know how to take blood labs, I will not say, in the beginning, our agency will say, don't, like, always tell them, even if you can do something, always tell them to do it. I mean, like, don't start saying that you know too much, which is still good in
Right.
a safety thing. But many
Mm-hmm.
of us, we just keep saying that we don't know, and they don't like
Yeah,
that. And
they
sometimes
don't
they
like
just
it.
think that they know better than us.
Right.
So my point in all of this is that for the UK, they are not like expecting you to start saying that you have this so number of years, and then many of us hide under that for months as we are
Right,
learning. But in the
right.
US, they want you to tell them if you know something. If they say,
Mm-hmm.
are you very good in taking blood?
Yeah,
If you know, you say, oh, let me try, or you say yes. Once you get it first, they will be telling everybody that person is really good,
Very
and that
good.
will help your
Yeah.
confidence.
Yeah.
But I was really good in taking last, but I will just say no. I will just say no. And once you say no once, they will never come to you again. They will just lose
Exactly.
that confidence. So that's my encouragement to anyone. If you move to the US, yes, you have to be safety conscious, but don't throw yourself under the bus all the time, like saying that you don't know. If you know something, just tell them, let me try. You can say, let me try. Once you get it the first time, they will say, this person is good. But when you keep saying you don't know something, you don't know, that's how they will just say that you don't, even many other things they will think you don't know. And they want to teach you. Even a very new nurse will come and teach you. Do you know how to do EKG? Or yeah, come,
Right.
let me show you. So they
Right.
want to show you everything because that's
Right.
their own lifestyle. I've
Exactly.
been to many of their trainings, and if they ask questions in class, they will be raising their hands like primary school students. Everybody wants to talk, but we
Yes.
don't have that mindset. We don't do that. So that's the major difference I've seen. So,
All
but
right.
you can adapt quickly if you know that if you just show that you know something a little bit, that confidence will come, and then people will trust you, and they will. It will be like almost at par with them in the beginning, and you not have much problem. But if you start in the beginning to say you don't know, that's when they will start saying, I know a nurse from, I forgot her country. They even started doubting her ability to use computer, and I know how depressed she was and all of that. So I think
Right.
that's the major difference. They want you to tell them that you know something. That's the major
Exactly.
difference.
Right. Man, I have to tell you guys, see, if you want to work in the US, I can't speak for the UK, but if you want to work in the US, you must have some certain level of confidence. Honestly,
Yeah.
you must have it. Just imagine yourself as a patient and you're in a room and one nurse comes into the room, very confident. Before you say Jack, the nurse has been to 3 different places in your room, very smart, very sharp, very fast and all that. And as the person is going, is asking you, hey, Mr. Jones, how are you doing? I'm here to take care of you today. My name is this, and I'm going to do this, do this. And the person is always everywhere before you know the person has. And then you have another nurse that comes in, say, good morning, sir. How are you doing? The pace at which the person talks and the person is slow in moving. I know in Nigeria, it shows we are a good person. In Africa, somehow it shows you're a good person when you move slow. It means you cannot act fast, that kind of thing. That I don't know, but so many people have that mentality that if you're slow in speaking, if you're humble, all those kind of things, people will see that humility in you. Trust me, when you are at work, people don't want to see your humility. They don't want to see your honesty. They don't want to see any of that. What they want to see is your ability to take care of them. And that ability is shown in your confidence, in your expertise. So you have to take mastery. You have to make sure you have mastered your area, like whatever you're supposed to do as a registered nurse, so that it's not something they ask you, do you know how to do this? In fact, I know that when we came to my hospital, there is some people that we came with which were Africans. And then there's a day that they had a problem between my manager and one of them. And the ladies kept on saying sorry. And my manager was getting angry. And the more the lady says, I'm sorry, sir, I'm sorry, sir, because my manager was a guy. And then the lady is a female. So the lady said, I'm sorry, sir. The guy got angry. He was, trying to, make her not to say sorry. But she kept on saying, I'm sorry, because they see sorry as a sign of weakness. Okay. But here, back home, we see sorry as, okay, you're remorseful, you've understood that you did wrong. But sorry to them is something bad has happened and you're saying sorry that cannot remedy the situation, that kind of thing. So sorry is not going to do anything. It's not going to bring back a dead patient. So that kind of thing is how their mind is, conditioned. So if you really want to work here, you need that confidence. I mean, if you know a place to find it, if you know a place that you can go train yourself on how to have confidence, even if it's in the front of your mirror, keep on practicing how you're going to introduce yourself. Or in fact, what I would say to you is if you have it, you got to show it. If you have it, you have to show it because, it's somehow, I'm a master's degree holder and I come and I just, sublime in a crowd and just tell everybody I'm just a regular nurse. In where we come from is humility. If I do that, people will fish me out and say, no, this one he came from US and he's a very good nurse. And people will now use their hand to announce me and it makes me a humble person. Okay. But if you do it in this kind of setting, nobody will notice you and you will never be announced. So you have to announce yourself by yourself here in the US. So if you know you have it, show it. Okay. So that's one thing you have to take home from today's conversation with Lynda. So Lynda, we are going to go forward again to, just do a little bit digging on the, I know you've earned in pounds, you've earned in dollars, okay? So I know earning in those two currencies, we're able to take care of your problems. And, I know, but just tell us a little bit of financially, how is it, being in the UK and being in the US?
So, you mean salary-wise? So salary-wise,
Yes,
obviously,
salary-wise. I
no,
know it's not a
salary-wise,
good place. And remember, anything I ask you that you don't feel comfortable, I know you
mm,
don't believe in village people, do you? Because if you do, you won't have a channel that is feeding people with information as you're doing now. Because what people call village people is actually that information. Because once you give it out, people think, oh, village people is gonna come after you. But trust me, no, it's not. You understand? So because everybody in the village is even coming out now, so there is no more nobody in the village anymore. So
so
let
I'm
us.
actually going to talk about this in this way because some people, especially because we have people in the UK. So some people in the UK, when they get offers, like when it's time for them to move to the US and they get the offer, they compare. I also did that. I compared and I was like, I called my friend in the US and said, this is almost the same that I earn in the UK. Why will I leave UK now? But so it's the same I'm getting from people that are already getting their offers to move to the US, but it's different. So when people Google how much do nurses in the US make, so that is actually different. So when in the major difference I've seen and what we know, the US pays more, but the thing is that the lifestyle in the US is also kind of bigger. Many people like their lifestyle improves a lot. Let's say improve, or they add more to their lifestyle when they get to the US. So if you've not been driving, many people drive, or almost everybody drive immediately, and some people go for very good cars. And then people also buy houses early. And then when you do all these upgrades, and usually those things they don't pay, like you get, if it is you finance your car, you get a mortgage. So what you pay for will now be more than, like in the UK, because I know I wasn't staying there for a long time. I did not drive, and then we did not buy a house. So I can say that our monthly expenses is more here in the US because we don't have to add all those other things, the insurance and all that. So what we pay for in the US is more. So, but what I've seen is that because in the US, their salary is a lot bigger. So what we can take out from this is that because the salary is a lot bigger, when you pay your bills, it's still bigger than the
Right,
UK. That's my experience. So if
right.
they pay the US, so in the US, they pay twice. So if your 2 week salary is able to pay, the 2 week salary is usually still more than what you earn in the UK.
In a month,
And
right?
then that week's salary is either it pays most of your bills or or all your bills.
It.
So when you
Mm-hmm.
get the other one, it's like an extra, and it's still bigger
Savings.
than your whole salary in the UK. So if you see it that way,
Mm-hmm.
so you see it's still bigger than
Right,
the UK.
right.
Mm.
Well. I hope we are learning something today. I hope everybody here is picking out one or two things. And then, here in the US, I would say like she said, the quality of life is also something that you look at because, like she said, in the UK, because she knows she was living, she didn't buy a house and all that. But I bought my first house within 1 year of being in the US. My first house, bought it within 1 year of being in the US. So you can imagine if you come to the US and within 1 year you're talking about buying your own house, you understand? Then from there, I would say there were other things that, cars and, anything you want to do here. So far as you have a good credit score, you can get it. And you're working, you have a good credit score, you can pay it, you can get it. And the only thing about it that I have to tell you guys is that, the credit system, the US is all based off on credit system. If you want to drive Lamborghini, if you want to have your private jet, say, and you have a good credit score, you can go get your private jet. But the thing is, they're going to be cutting that money from you. And once you buy something on credit, just know that when you pay it back, sometimes they give you like 30 years to pay it back. And if you follow that 30 years to pay it back, you're going to be paying back like double. So once you have any credit from any institution, it's always good to pay it off quicker, because the earlier you pay off those credits, then the lower money you pay, because at the end of it all, you are still the one that is going to make that money you're going to use to pay. So you would think, I'm paying small, but at the end of it, so it depends. When you come into the US the first time, it's always good to you take advantage of all those credit cards, but by the time you grow a little bit, you will start to understand that it's actually wiser for you to spend debit than spending credit, because the more you spend credits, the more you spend double of whatever you are making currently. So you save yourself some money by spending your own money than spending somebody's money, someone else's money, because that is business. They are doing business. So one day we are going to come here and we're going to talk about housing, how to buy a house in the US and all the processes that is involved. But let's stay true to what we are discussing today. Okay, so Lynda has been giving us real life experiences, challenges, or what she encountered. And when it comes to like amount that you're paid in the US, like you said, 2 weeks salary can take care of your bills if you actually, those that actually do not spend unwisely. Let me just put it that way, because I know some people come in here and they be like, oh, I can get that car. Oh, I can get that house. Oh, I can get that. And they put your hand in so many things. And even their one full month salary will not be able, they'll be battling with it. So, but some other people are very, very conservative. They know what to spend on. And I think that is always the best when you're starting. Then when you get to some pedestal, you can actually start, living those big chain life, have a big bling bling chain, that kind of thing. So you can actually do that with time. All right. So Lynda, I know you know so much about schools all around the world. There are different schools that have different opportunities. There are others, apart from school, we're going to talk about other opportunities around the world that you have been sharing in your platform. Some of these people that are here are not following you currently. So, and those that watch this video later, if they are not following you, they will follow you. But for the benefit of that, we found you in this space. Can you just throw lights on some advantages that we can get for our relations? Most of us may have brothers, sisters, friends, cousins that are asking us, how do we come out? I want to sell one of my land, but I don't know where to put the money, so they don't eat the money. So where do we advise them to channel their energy to in terms of schools, or how to come out? Even those career opportunities, no, not career, carer opportunities that are available. So just throw lights on it in little by little, so we can catch a little bit of what is happening around the world.
Okay, so I think I'll discuss this like in two ways for like us nurses that want to study, because what I found is that for like many of my colleagues from Kenya, for example, once they came, I think it's just like a month, once they stepped foot in the US, they started, like those that don't have BSN already, they were all in school immediately. And I think many of us as well, when we are getting ready to come to the US, you still want to study. So I will start with that. So all of this, when you are still back home, make sure like you're thinking about what you want to do, like the whole plan, like you want to go to the US, then what? If you don't want to study, then that's fine. But other things that you want to do, like just have like try to plan. So what I can say is that while you are still back home, there are things that you can do, or there are things I wish I had done, so that when I get to the US, life will be a lot easier, or when I get to the UK, life will be a lot easier. One of them is not just saying, okay, I'm in the process of going to the US, so let me just relax. Every other thing, and then you're getting frustrated that NMC Nigeria is not fast, or that they are banning Nigeria from getting into US, and you're getting frustrated where you work. So what I can say, in that time that you're still in Ghana, Kenya, Brazil, whichever country that you are from, try to do something there that will help you experience-wise, skill-wise, certification-wise, because I see like some of my classmates then that say, no, I can never do my master's degree in Nigeria. So what you can do at that time, if you have opportunity to do your master's, sometimes the US process can be long based on country and your own individual, so what I can say.
Massage this one.
Okay, so what I can say is, if you
Please, can you unmute yourself, Lynda? Sorry. Thank you.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Okay,
Yeah.
so while you are in your home country, if you have the plan to study in the US, for instance, try to do something back home if you still have time. And then if you don't really know where your process is at this particular time, if you are if you're listening to us here, so you can do your master's. So what I did, I knew I wanted to really, really go. Anybody that was my friend, then we know that this person wants to start to go abroad, study abroad. The first thing I was trying to do is to study abroad. But I still, when the master's degree form came, I still bought that form. And then I almost finished, right? I almost finished. It was just my defense. And these people were wasting my time. So I said, okay, I'm leaving. So I left and went to the UK. Luckily for me, they allowed me to defend while I was in the UK. That was really God's intervention. So I defended and I was able to complete that master's in Nigeria. So why I'm saying that is that, and again, while I was in Nigeria as well, I was working for this company in the US as well online. And that was where I knew that there is actually, and it was so stressful for me to do that job online. And they were like this, what I was getting was even more than what I was getting in my nursing job. But like the generator, hey, it was part of my prayer. I want to leave this country now. I can't even do this thing. So having that internet was even like my huge lottery when I eventually moved to the UK. And then when I eventually moved to, so it's one of the biggest things for me that we have like access to electricity all the time, internet all the time. So, and I was learning as I was working with that organization. Then I also studied. So see how those things helped me. When I eventually moved to the UK, and I noticed that when I take additional shifts and all of that, I'm losing out in my kids. Like I'm not having that time with my family. And then they will go back to my salary and take a chunk of it. So I wasn't seeing like it wasn't really working. So I used that time again to invest in learning again, free things online, and trying to learn one or two things online. Now, see how this helped me when I moved to the United States. So now in the US, I used that my master's degree to cut down on. So when I applied for my program here in the US, I had to verify my master's degree from Nigeria, and that cut my program into like the money. Some people spend up to 60,000, 40 something thousand for their MPhil program, but mine is like half because I added all my credits from Nigeria to it. So you see how that works. Exactly. So I added all my credit, and then you also in the US, I like US because you can negotiate anything at all. Like, what other things can you offer me like in this school?
Oh, Lynda, again, can you unmute yourself? Sorry. Sorry.
Oh, I wonder where they lost me. Okay.
You just right now. I'm monitoring it actually. So sorry
Okay,
about.
so that helped me to cut down on school fees. That helped me to, or is helping me to cut down on the length of the program as well. So this is for us nurses, right? Anywhere you are, if anything you can learn. I know my colleague collects like $100 to make our hair. So and then even before I book her to make my hair, like she's already booked for like the next 2 months, she's booked already. So anything at all you can learn to help you out, that is very good. This is just a tip for us nurses that are here that want to study and everything. If you have any degree at all you think is a waste, but see, my experience is not a waste. Even the job that I'm doing right now they took me with my master's degree still. So what you are doing back home is not a waste. That's my point for this one. If you're a nurse and you're here and you're listening, whatever you're doing is not a waste. As far as you have that confidence that when you come, you actually try, show them this is what I have or what I have. What can you use it? If you get a job, you can tell them this is my level, negotiate your salary, or I have 10 years experience. Don't start telling them, oh, I have 1 year experience in the US, something like that, because you feel like, oh, it's US. That no, that your experience in Nigeria, they all count. They will help you when you're studying, they will help you when you're getting a job, they will help you when you're buying a house. I had to use my experience, UK, whatever, when we wanted to buy a house as well. So all those things, they all matter. Don't think that they don't matter. Don't just sit Don't just sit and wait for your US process to go to end. Then the second one is for our relatives. So when you move abroad, that's the main question. How can I come? How can I come? People are asking you. So there are a lot of opportunities. In the UK, there are so many ways that you can move to the UK. The only thing is that when you move to the UK as a student, that's what I've noticed. Like when I moved to the UK, a lot of relatives, friends, they eventually moved to the UK as student nurses and all of that. So in the UK, you can become a nurse in 2 years. If you have science background, just know about this. Maybe you already know, maybe you don't know. So if you have a relative that studies sciences and they want to become a nurse, they can become a nurse in the UK within 2 years. So they just need to take a master's degree that will lead them to taking the NMC exam. So that is one way. I have my relative that moved that way, and it's very good. Moved with family, everything. So that's very good, and it's good to know, because I got to know that that actually works because I saw relative and I saw colleagues in the UK that came that way. I also noticed that in the US as well, we have something like that. You can become a nurse. They have accelerated nursing program in the US. I'm not sure how easy, because I've not taken my own people to come and do that course from Nigeria. But I've seen that Nigerians in the UK, in the US, they go for this accelerated nursing program that sometimes is 13 months, 15 months, 18 months. I've even seen one that is 12 months. But even the nurse I worked with last night, I worked yesterday. The nurse I worked with did accelerated nursing program, I think a 13 months program, but she was already a social worker, and I think she has a background in sciences, and she was able to do that here in the US. I've seen that they also accept international students for those accelerated nursing program, but I have not. I keep saying, like, I like to, because those ones I've done personally. Like, see how easy it is for someone to come from Nigeria or from Ghana to come and do accelerated nursing program here in the US. So that one exists as well. The one I have experience as well as somebody you can use for your family members or anybody that you know is, it's difficult to get scholarship to come and study in the US, but in whatever country you are in, there's a government program in the US. They call it Education USA. They have a criteria for the people that they work with, but eventually if you get into their program, you get full ride scholarship. My sister's son that's studying in the United States did that. So this is like a first-hand experience for me. So he went through them, but it's just like our nurses that they make you take exam and all that. He had to take all those exams, and he's studying full ride, finished his degree, undergraduate degree, and got a full ride again for master's degree. So US is also very open to that scholarship. Like, if you are able to get in at all, they have that opportunity. Some of them study, like they become graduate assistants, and then they can finish their studies and all that. So that's another opportunity. For people that have contacted in the past, I usually say that they don't have money to study and all that. I usually tell them to find the Education USA. They are connected to the US government for some reason. So it's not like a random agency. So I usually tell them to go there and see if they qualify for their program. So that's a good resource to know as well. Then they also have like a type of visa that in the US as well, that I see people pay huge amount of money to, like, agencies and all, but I know that immigration in the US is like very complicated. But that one is that if you have like family members, because what I have noticed here is I've seen in Texas here, they have a lot of Nigerians, or in some part of Texas. So I've met a lot of Nigerians that they moved when they are already like advanced family. Advanced family means like maybe they have children that are already 15 years, 16 years, and they've done most things in Nigeria, but they still move to the US. And I'm like, how do you people do that? How do you move like your big family from Nigeria to this place? So some of them use like this method, like they have they have like a US visa they call the national interest waiver. So it's basically you trying to prove that you have a skill that the US needs. So usually people work with lawyers and all of that to get this done. But people, this is for like people that have extensive experience, like 10 years. I know, like as I am already, is 10 years experience already, and they have advanced degree as well. So experience and advanced degree, and they can make a case that they have a skill. So maybe there are so many ways you can make a case that you have what it takes to, like, you can add positively to the US. So that is a very valid visa that people use to move to the United States as well. So like there are just a few things that for school, there are schools that are relatively cheap, but I cannot really say that these schools are relatively cheaper than so many of them, but that doesn't mean that it is so cheap that that is now cheap. But there are schools that are cheaper than the rest that people can actually get admission to in the US. And then what I have seen is that there are companies that are coming out as well to help people with, you know, how people study with student loans in the United States. You can cut me off if you want me to stop at some point, but this is just another way. So there are, you know, how people study with student loans. So there are companies that are also coming out to help international students to study with student loan. And they want to make sure that you're studying a course that you will be able to get a job when you finish. So I think nursing is a good one for that as well. So when you get admission into any of the schools that they partnered with a lot of schools, more up to 500 or so in the US and in Canada. So if you get admission in any of those schools, so now if I'm encouraging people to get admission in the US, I usually tell them to follow that list. So at least if you don't have any money to study in the US, you can use their loan. And their loan also is almost like what you get when you study with student loan in the US. When you finish studying, okay, they make you to start paying the interest when you are still studying with them, and then you pay only the interest, and you have that opportunity to build your credit. And then when you finish and you get a job there, you start paying, and just a small percentage, just the way people, almost the way like 150, 200, depending on how much you borrow from them when you finish. So it's not very stressful. So that's another way. So people are not just, if you have this information, you will not just tell people to just look for admission. So you have to plan. Okay. So if you're looking for admission, with that mindset, okay, can I get a scholarship? If I can't get scholarship, will I have another option like that student loan that I'm talking about? So this is available for Canada and the US. So I've been asking questions about the one for the UK. Even the ones that I got about the UK, they keep saying, no, it doesn't work and all of that. But these are the ones for the for Canada and the US.
Okay.
I think I've shared a couple.
You did. Yeah. See, she was actually rolling out information, opportunities. Okay, so actually, you might say, no, I'm pursuing my own, it's not for me. But trust me, when you deliver yourself and you have not delivered those around you will drag you down. You can imagine being the only one in your entire community that is in the US and they all have your number. Trust me, you're not going to have a good sleep. So it's always good as you're planning for yourself, you also plan for those around you because they are the people that would run you down if you don't take care of them. So start on time to begin to look out for, even if you don't have the means to sponsor them or do something, have the knowledge to at least give them information. Say this and this and this is what works, okay? If you want to travel abroad, you're not a nurse, you're not in any of this. And what she said about national interest waiver is actually very true. I've actually brought in a lawyer and an attorney from here in the US that discussed that with us before. And he said in that program that this thing actually, they draw it from people who have done advanced degree, who have a lot of experience, and then people who studied any of the STEM program. And the STEM program are science, technology, I think, what is it, education and maths, something like that. So anybody that have studied any of those engineering, sorry, not education, engineering and maths. So anybody that is in that field can actually access the NIW. And it's very simple. A lot of people are coming through it. In fact, the recent thing that is happening now is people who come in here through education, like people who come in here for schooling. You know, your schooling visa or F1 or J1 visa, once you're done with your academics, is over. Okay. So, but one day, once they are done with the academics, they apply for this NIW because they, at that point, if they studied a good course, not just those that accept anything. So that's why before you even start, you need that information to tell them, see, if you're planning to go to the US, try to make sure that you're studying something within this STEM program, okay? Something within the STEM program, because if you study anything outside of that STEM program, you will not have the ability or opportunity to travel abroad when the time comes. So you always give them that information, and they study that. When they, well, when they come, they can use that STEM program to do their NIW, and then they have residency permit, and in 5 years time they become a citizen. It's a long process, but you just have to stay true to the one that you're following. There are different ways, different formats. In fact, that's why when you come to the US, you see Philippines and Chinese and Indians, they're everywhere, because when they get information like this, what happens? They share it to everybody, and they don't just share it, they keep guiding their relatives and friends on how to access those information and better their life. I believe that we will become that kind of beacon of hope to people that would keep directing people, guiding people on what to do so that they can better their life. All right. So, Lynda, thank you so much for all the questions you've answered today. I've asked you a lot, and now is the time for my audience to ask you a few questions. Okay. I hope you still have some time. I know you gave me 2 hours. You're a very busy person, but please permit me. For I don't know how many hours have we spent. Okay. Okay, we have like 30 more minutes, I guess. Is it too much? Okay, we'll try. All right. So if you have any question, specific question to ask Lynda about some of these things that we've mentioned here, you can have that opportunity to either put it on the comment section, or if you know that you are in a very good place where you can do some, if you can talk and there won't be noise in your area, just raise up your hand and I'll give you that opportunity to ask us that question. All right. We are ready for you. While we are getting ready for that question, I just want to, throw in a little more light to some of the other options that Lynda mentioned. So when you're coming to the US, to the UK through school, through this and whatever route you're using, always try to understand the process, understand the kind of visa you're applying for, understand, because if you don't understand the kind of visa you're applying for, you might have a little bit of challenge. I've seen a lot of people that have come to the US and they are asking, oh, we didn't know that coming. There's somebody actually that I encountered recently, and the person came with a kind of visa from the federal government of Nigeria that looks like they were sending him on a course, like all these technical aid corps and the rest of them. And before you can apply to become a citizen with that kind of visa, you have to go back to Nigeria and finish up what program you were doing with the federal government, and then come back again. You understand? But the person doesn't want to come back again. He wants to stay here, and you cannot do that. And that's how you get illegal immigrants, because they come with the wrong visas and they decide to stay and they overstay their visa, and then it becomes a problem. So always try to know the kind of visa that you're coming here with. Okay. So first we have chosen. We have chosen from. Okay, I don't know where she's from, but she's raising up her hand. Chosen. I'm going to ask you to unmute, but make sure that you have a very quiet surrounding, and then you can ask your question and also be very brief so that we can give room for other people to ask their question as well. Thank you very much. We have questions also on the comment section. Keep them coming. We'll answer those questions after taking the questions from the people who are raising up their hand already. All right, chosen. Now is your time.
All right, good evening. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you, our host and our guest. Please, I just want to ask about the national interest waiver. That is it only for the people in the US that are already in the US, or is an international opportunity? Because I have a sister, she lives in Jamaica and she studied mathematics. She's presently a teacher there. and I'm just asking for her sake so that I can easily dish out the information. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So actually, you want to go for that question,
No,
Lynda?
you can go. You can.
So it's not for those in the US alone, it's actually for everyone. But even those in the US can make use of it. So if you're here in the US, I said those people that came with student visa, they're able to, after their studies, they're able to convert to using national interest waiver program to, get their residency permit or their green card in the US. So once they are done with the schooling, they may have 1 or 2 more years to, do their whatever training that they need to do. But before that time, because after that time, they're going to become illegal immigrants if they overstay their visa, or if they're out of status. Okay, so what they actually try to do is, after that study, they then apply for this national interest waiver and then use it to remain in the US. But what I was trying to say there is, when you're coming as a student to the US, make sure you're studying courses in the STEM program. That's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So make sure the course that you're studying is within this STEM program that we're talking about. All right. So I don't know if I answered your question, choosing. It's for everyone. And there are attorneys that do it for everybody that, but I know they are quite expensive, but if you get one that knows what he's doing, some people who actually make a very good case for their clients, they know what they are doing. They can tell you, okay, pay half of whatever we are going to charge you. Then when you come over and get settled, you can pay the rest. Because if I trust what I'm doing, I should be able to have that. But some people still trust what they are doing and they are not ready to play. They want you to pay all the money before they get you over here. Okay. So that is it. It's for everyone. You can let your friend or your relation in Jamaica know. Did I answer your question, Choosing?
Yes, thank you very much. I'm grateful.
You're welcome. All right. So we have the next person to ask question is Nenna. Nenna, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay. Hello.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for this educative session which you have arranged for us. I wanted to ask, if you come to the US, like you've been to the UK and now you're in the US, if you come to the US as a nurse, I know in the UK they have like a preceptorship program where you're being taken, told what to do, showed what to do. Is there anything like that? And how long does it last? One. Two, in the UK, we have like a patient load of, like, they tell you 8, but actually we know it's not 8. Most times they give us more than that. What is the nurse patient ratio in the US? Is it and then we also hear that their hours is not the same. Some say you can do for 2 hours and you can go home. You can do for 3 hours. You can do anything you want. You can come and say, I just want to work for 5 hours today and I'm going home. If you have a permanent job, do you have that liberty of taking how many hours you want and then you're going home? Thank you.
You want to go?
So I think, okay, I can go for this because
Okay.
in the UK, yes, the workload so the nurse patient ratio in the US is actually a lot lower because I think they have strict laws and they usually try to follow it. That's my experience when I compare to that of the UK, that sometimes they know that the NMC says you can't take more than this, but like sometimes you get like way more. But in the US, I think the highest I've got in when I was working in cardiac tele was 6. So 6 is the highest we can get. So the charge nurse usually gets 0 to 2. And then, but I know in the UK, the charge nurse can get like a full load still. Then if you have like special patients like that has like all these cardiac griefs and all, then you have like maximum of 4. The only thing is that they expect more from the nurse here. So even though you have less patient, like they expect you, like you are involved in all the processes in the lab, even like sometimes you have to order something, like the doctor will tell you on phone and then you have to order some of the medications and all of that. So that's what makes it So the nurse-patient ratio here in the US is actually low. So I think in some states in the US, their own law is even very, very strict that you can't get more than a certain number of patients. Then again is for the preceptorship here in the US is the same. You get a preceptor, but usually it's not as long as that of the UK. And the UK sometimes is also on paper as well. It's supposed to be 6 months. And okay, the good thing in the UK is that you go for courses as well. Here, I did not experience that. So usually you have, I had like 2 weeks with a preceptor. And then when I came newly, we had 6 weeks. I had 6 weeks with the preceptor. So you'll be with one person all through that 6 weeks, and they'll be showing you what to do and everything. So that's how it happens. And for if you have a full-time job in the US, they have a particular number of hours you're supposed to be doing in a week. So I know that in this one that I'm doing now, I know that sometimes you have overtime that is 4 hours and then you go home. But I've not experienced, maybe Boss Decency can talk about that, but I've not experienced like full-time nurses coming for 2 hours. Maybe it depends on the job as well, maybe people that work in the clinic, but if you are in the unit, in the wards, you do your shit like normal. That's what I have experienced.
Okay. Thank you so much, Lynda. So let me, it's the same thing, but hospitals are different, states are different, relationship is another thing. Okay, so when you begin to work in a facility, you come across a lot of people with different attitudes, okay? So be ready in the US, be ready to accommodate all the attitudes, everybody's mindset, whatever they have been born with, they grew up with, they come to work with such attitudes. So be ready to accept it. So number one is there are places and times when you can come to work and then you end up doing 2 hours, but there is a mandatory hour that you're supposed to do in all the jobs, and that is 36 hours if you're doing 12 hours every day. So if you're doing 12 hours every day, you're going to do 36 hours per week. Okay, and if you're doing 10 hours or 8 hours, you do 40 hours a week. Okay, so you must complete that 40 hours a week. But in situations whereby I've seen some people, they pick a 10-hour shift and they pick a 12 and they pick a 8-hour shift and they pick a 10-hour shift. So at the end, you might have like 2 hours remaining that they need to work on one day just to make up their hours. I don't know if you're getting me. So they will come in that day, clock in, and once it's 2 hours, they go and clock out again because that is their time for the week and they must complete that time. So there is this law that says you shouldn't even take overtime unless it's requested. They do it in most facilities, okay? If the facilities have need for you, they will tell you, then you work overtime. You don't just wake up and say, oh, today I feel like working. Let me just walk into the hospital and work. They have to have the need for you to work, then they will call you. And one thing is in the US, there's always need for people to work. So you will find that opportunity for you to work in the US. So let me talk about preceptor. Preceptor is a good thing and is also a bad thing. Why am I saying this? Because I've seen places or people who came into the US and they had a wrong preceptor and their preceptor just caused their whole mindset about preceptorship and about US to change. Because sometimes when you come in the US and let me tell you, the foundation of the problem is the marketers. The marketers of your agency, they do a really good job in making sure that your hospital that is going to employ you have some bogus, ambiguous picture of who you are coming to them. Okay, so when you're telling let me say your agency, I have 10 years experience, I've worked in this, it doesn't stop there. When they gather all those information, they give it to their marketers, and the marketer go to the hospitals and they say, oh, we have this girl, her name is Ejike Mechikwendo. She's such a good nurse. She's worked in different hospitals. She has this experience. She has that experience. And as they are saying it, your would-be manager is taking notes. Okay, and the other members of the team of that hospital is taking notes. So they are waiting for you, okay? So when you arrive and you now say, anything they ask you, you say, I don't know. It's going to be frustrating, even if it's you that, is in that spot where you've hired somebody out of, I would say, a lie, maybe the marketers told you a lie, and just because they want to make sure they get your hospital to contract with them and they start staffing you. And then with that, all those kind of big pictures that the marketers paint is what is causing the problem that many international nurses face in the US. Because when they come in, and the nurses in the unit are thinking, so much of them, they are hoping that these people are coming in and immediately they get in, they start running. And the nurse needs like 6 months of training, needs like, and then they are not willing to spend that 6 months because of what they have heard from the marketers that the nurse possesses. Okay, so when you're doing, I don't know, I need to learn, I want to be safe, I don't want to them, it is very, very irritating. They really want to get rid of anybody that is not, being truthful to what they think, because they feel like everything was just a lie from the onset. Okay, so that's the foundation of the problem. So some of the preceptors that know about this, that think they know about you, they know you're a master's degree holder, you have been so like some people, I've seen some people who were managers, matrons in their units, and when they come here, matrons in Nigeria, they don't work. Okay, they work. Sorry, I'm sorry if I offend anybody. But I know some of the matrons, they actually, do more of the administrative work, and then the other smaller nurses and nursing students do the job. Okay, so, but when they come over here, they are still, getting used to, okay, my nursing student used to do it this way, this way, this way, all those kind of things. And then the hospital on their own side, they are looking at you as, oh, you have to do this and do it quick. And then you're spending 6 hours just feeding a patient and you have 8-hour shifts, that kind of thing. They are going to find out, they'll be thinking, what is wrong with this person? So that's why I say preceptor is good and is bad. I will leave that discussion for another day, because I've known a lot of people who their preceptor actually wrote very bad report about, and it led to their sack or the hospital firing them. Because whatever the preceptor says is what the hospital is going to believe. They won't believe you that just came in few weeks ago against their preceptor that they've had for 6 years, 10 years, 15 years. So they'll believe the preceptor and then, lay the person off. How long does the training stay? So for me, when I came into the US, I didn't spend much time because I've already known a little. I work in the OR, so OR wasn't new to me. I was already doing open heart surgery in Nigeria, in Nigerian Turkish hospital, in National Hospital. They all know me. I did open heart surgeries for them a lot. So all those, we work with the whites also. They do come from UK to US and we work together. So there was this cross training that I did when I was in Nigeria, and it made me to be able to I wrote a book on open heart surgery. So when I got in here, it was easy for me to adapt. And so 3 weeks, I was already on my own doing what I know how to do in the OR. But some people, it takes them a little more longer time. Okay, so the standard is between 6 weeks to 3 months for the OR. Okay, between 6 weeks to the 3 months. But I know for other units like high dependency unit, ICU, and the rest of them, it takes longer, like 6 months. Okay, so nurse-patient ratio, like you said, what you said is actually true. It's actually around 6. I've not seen it go above 6. Most of the time that I've been in other units, I've not seen it go above 6 patients per nurse. Okay, sometimes you get less. So because sometimes you come to the floor and then 2 of your patients are discharged, 3 of your patients are, and you don't have another admission to the next morning. So it becomes a good, cool night for you, or morning, depending on which shift you're working. All right, so we have a few more questions before we call it a day. Somebody is asking, is there age limit? I don't know which age limit that she's asking, whether it's age limit to NIW or age limit to coming to the US or age limit. But for all these questions, there is no age limit. If you are strong enough to work, and you feel like you can do all the exams or all the due diligence that is in the process, then you should be a good candidate for the migration. Okay, so please share your experience on NCLEX. Somebody is asking you to please share your experience on NCLEX. Please, kindly let them know, know your experience, okay? Okay.
So for my experience for NCLEX, so the agency I use, they have like NCLEX review program that I joined. At some point, it wasn't very convenient for me when I was still in the UK. So I had to stop, and then I enrolled and then I studied on my own a little bit. I used like Clinics audios, and then I bought UWorld when I was close to the exam. And that's basically what I did. But then the agency, they already did a good job with the background, like the Saunders, made us read Saunders and all of that. So already I had reviewed the like the basics before, and now studied on my own, like use all these review audios, and then I use UWorld. That's basically what I did.
Okay. All right, I have another question. I hope that answered your question. Ekaite Jonah, her NCLEX experience, she just shared it now. And then we have Taiwo Alo. He said, please, if I come to US via student visa, can I bring my children later on, and how? Do you have any idea for his question?
So yes, so if for advanced degree, I believe the student visa for US, you can bring your family. The only thing, or the only drawback is that your dependents will not be able to work. So I think that's the drawback for study visas for the US. But yeah, you can. But
So
they will
you,
not be able, for what I know right now. If I'm
yeah,
wrong, you can correct me. The dependents, they don't work, but you can have a child and your child will be a citizen. That's another thing that I heard.
right,
A student can have a child and the child will be a US citizen. That's a
right,
plus. Then
right.
not working is a minus.
Right, that's true.
Yeah.
We have people who are in that situation right now. Like the wife is a nurse, the wife came with the husband is, coming here with a student visa, and the husband is working 20 hours a week. The wife has passed NCLEX but cannot work because of the kind of visa that the husband has. So you see the kind of issue. So what you do at that point is, trying to adjust your status. You can talk to either an immigration lawyer to change your status or to adjust your status or to file another kind of visa application for you. There are different kind of visas that you can file depending on each individual situation. So, and also if maybe the wife is a registered nurse, like the one I'm talking to you about, what we do is we try to get an agency, not to employ, but to start the application process of filing for the nurse. So once we file and do the I-140 and it's approved, then we can get the work authorization for the wife and the wife can start working. Okay. So then let me see if we have another question. This one, we have another question. It says from Bernadette. Okay, so it says, please, I wanted to know if there is any agency that can assist someone uh, some that can assist someone that cannot carry the process alone. I mean, from NCLEX to immigration stage. Thank you. So there's something right now that they call retrogression. So this retrogression is making a lot of agencies to think twice when it comes to sponsorship. Okay, a lot of them are running away. They try as much as possible not to. But there is an agency that came out newly, and I work with them also because we've actually been talking, and then we're able to explain things to them. So their name is Flint. You can try them out. I'll put them in the comment section. They are sponsoring, but the caveat is that you have to be a BSN degree holder. So they are not sponsoring anybody who is not a BSN holder. So you can try them out. They sponsor, but once you apply, I think I can't remember his name. Is it Anson? Anson will get back to you and then tell you if you qualify or not. So they do that on qualification basis. Okay. So once you apply, he will get back to you and tell you whether he's going to move forward or not. All right. And then what else do we have here? Please, how do you keep yourself updated? Is it? I don't know. So someone is actually trying to say you are too updated. How do you do that?
Sorry, I unmuted myself. I'm the one. I was trying to complete the sentence, but someone wrote before me. I said, how do you keep yourself updated? It's still in name now because in the UK, the hospital sponsor you to go for trainings once every year, every 6 months. You go for BLS, you go for manual handling. So how do you keep yourself updated in the US? Do they do such things, or do you have to pay for it on your own and do it on your own? That's what I was asking. I'm really sorry about that.
No, you're good. All
Yeah,
right.
I think my experience so far is that for every job, they'll make sure you do all the training, and usually They like my BLS, ACLS, all those. My agency did that, and the hospital as well. They have opportunity for you to do that as well. So I've not paid for, unless you want to do a course on your own, so for you to get a job somewhere. But if you're already working, they make sure that they provide all those training that you need. That's my experience. So maybe it's going to depend on the hospital as well. But my experience is that the hospital do that, just like the UK, yes.
Okay. All right. So Amalara is saying, boss, connect me. I don't know what Amalara wants to be connected to, but you can, complete the sentence and tell us what you want to be connected to. So NIW is national interest waiver. So someone else is asking, is the training sponsored by the hospital? Okay, that's still in NENA. Okay. And you just got that question answered. Then age limit for working in the US. There is no age limit. There is my very good friend, I will not mention his name, but he used to work with me in National Hospital. He was 3 years before his retirement, 3 years before his retirement. So you can calculate his age before he came to the US with his children, and they have been having the best time of their life. Somebody that have worked in Nigeria and is remaining 3 years for you to retire, and then you got the opportunity, travel to the US and continued working. You understand? His major joy, he's not working for extra time or to go and build mansion in Nigeria. No, he just wants to, he's sitting back, relaxing and watching his children making it big. And his son, one of his son that is very athletic, got a scholarship of $20,000 every year. So they give him $20,000 for his college. You understand? That's for just being athletic. I think he was the best in their school that time. So it's something that he enjoys. He just sits down, relax, and keep on enjoying some of those success stories that the children are making. So there is no age limit. You can come here at any time and your sun will still shine. Okay, so keep on believing on the dream and keep on working on it. All right, let me see if we have more questions. And then national interest waiver, that question is answered. So so how long does it take for PWD to come out? So prevailing wage determination is something that agencies need to have. And that's why some contracts that are flying up and down, all my inbox filled with contracts, I'm like, you have to ask the right question. And most of you, you just sign, you don't know what is there because your mind now is, let me come out, let me come out. By the time you come out, next thing is, let me break my contract. Because by that time you come out now, you now say, oh, this contract is not good. I don't like the way they structured it, but you signed it. You signed it because that time you're signing it, you were not under duress. There were other agencies. So when you come over here and when you sign any contract, make sure you fulfill the dictates of your contract. Okay, and make sure you read it very well. I know some of them catch you by making sure they make the contract so lengthy and it becomes like Sounder's book that you have to read, and you're always thinking, oh, I cannot read all this. Let me just locate where they say sign, and you sign, and that's it. Okay, but always try to find time to read your contract because those contracts can be bounding. It can be bounding on you when you come over to the United States. So always try. I've seen a lot of people who broke their contract and it didn't go down well. I've seen people who break their contract, it was okay, and they are all, living their best life. And people also break and they end up in the law court in the US. And to get a lawyer here in the US is not easy. You have to be working for the lawyer your entire life. I don't want to keep our guests for so long. Let me just run down this thing. But it takes for the prevailing wage determination, it takes about minimum of 6 months, maximum of maybe 2 years. It can be more, depending on who is filing. Most of the hospitals that are doing what is it called, direct hospital hire, they have not done it before. So when they file, they go back and forth with the Bureau of Labor and Statistics because they don't know how to do these things. They've not filed before. They don't have some of the documents. They have to go back and forth. So they have employed you, but you're there in Nigeria wasting time. So why not come with agency? You will spend 2 years in Nigeria waiting for your hospital to get their prevailing wage. I'm just saying technically. And then an agency that you work for 3 years, and then that's just a difference of 1 year. That's how I look at it. So always make sure you know what you're signing before you sign. And when you sign, try as much as possible to keep the word of your contract. I'm in an agency nurse too, and I did finish my contract. I did not breach. Okay, so I'm telling you first-hand experience of what happens here. All right, so that's it. And please, another thing is, so please get another question. Please get the ones that can sponsor RN too, Biko. So the ones that can sponsor RN, that's what I mentioned. For now, I just know about Flame. I know other agencies do, Avan do, there's a lot. But let me tell you the truth. A lot of people that have been here that is breaking their contract is making some of these agencies to reconsider employing people from, I'm sorry to say, but people from Nigeria. Okay, so a lot of them are actually reaching out and saying, no, we cannot employ people from this place because they don't ever honor the words of their contract. Okay, so always try as much as possible. Once you sign with any one of them, know that people are coming behind you and whatever you do might affect them. Okay, so I'll be reaching out to you. We'll be bringing some agencies also on this program. I think I have Westways sometime this year. No, sorry, sometime next month. I'll be bringing the director of nursing in Westways to this program. It's the journey. So he's going to be here and he'll be discussing with us about the challenges, the opportunities, and everything that there is in his own word in the US. All right, so please remember to drop the agency name, okay? What is retrogression? Retrogression is, how will I explain it now? So in retrogression, everything in the US is and visa system is quota, okay? Quota, which means they have to have a number of visas and they will now decide how many people that have applied before that have not been attended to. Then they start to take care of them first before they take care of people that are applying now. Okay, so retrogression is a time that comes and the US CIS says we want to, take care of people who have applied before, who has priority dates of like 2020, 2021. Let them come forward and be processed before we'll keep on improving. So right now, we are not current, which means they cannot process anybody that just passed NCLEX, that just started. It's not like you cannot progress. You can apply and get everything. But when it comes to visa interview, you will not be able to get visa interview dates because they are attending to people that did their own before 2020. I think we're on 2021 now, December 2021. So that's where the retrogression stops right now. So, but it keeps coming forward. Sometimes it comes forward, sometimes it goes backward. It's all based on statistics. They are going to look at, oh, how many people do we have that have applied backlog that may come forward? Let us give them opportunity to come in first. Then if they are nobody in that category, we keep on drawing further until we become current, capture some people that are already ready from now, and they capture them before you know it, they go back again. So they just use it to regulate the influx of people to the US. Okay, so please, I know someone who qualified for Flint but is scared of type of visa they offer. According to her, is H-1B visa. So from when I talked to Anson, who is the president of that company, they do H-1B currently because of retrogression, but they were doing EB2. Another thing with H-1B visa is that it doesn't give you green card immediately you come here. H-1B visa is a kind of visa that you get, is like work permit for 5 years. You're going to have it for 5 years. And after 5 years, you can start applying for your green card. So the caveat there is that you have to work for that agency that brought you for as long as they signed contract with you. If it's 3 years, you're going to work that 3 years. You understand? If you don't work that 3 years, then you'll be in big trouble. But for EB2, you have that flexibility of if it doesn't work out, you can, do one or two things. But for H-1B, it's just that company that brought you have to work for them. All right. So they are doing it currently now, according to him, because of retrogression. They are supposed to, if the retrogression goes away, they're supposed to go back to regular EB3 visas. Okay. So that's just the information I wanted to give on that one. All right, so Connexus staff offered to sponsor me for NCLEX. Is it advisable? Connexus has been there for a while. Okay, they've been there. I've known them for a very long time. I wouldn't say much about their credibility or anything, but I know they've been there for some time now. So looking for an OR job, cardiothoracic. I don't know, looking for it where, in Nigeria or in the US, where are you looking for this job? Let me know where in particular. So someone says, boss, please, is it better to move to UK if you're self-sponsored and who pass NCLEX, then or to wait the retrogression to pass. So you pass the NCLEX on your own. You're asking if it's better for you to move to UK, stay in UK. Well, I think Lynda will answer that question. Lynda, is it better for them to move to UK and then stay there when retrogression is over, they come here? There's also a Canada route, the Canada route that people are doing now, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, and the rest of them. And those ones are pretty good options too. So, but talk about UK and the option of moving to UK and staying there for a while.
Oh, well, I would say that moving to the UK is a good option, but I did not do my process from Nigeria. This person, it looks like she already has her NCLEX. So I'm not sure how it was, whether she has already applied for her visa already. And then if she needs to get her interview date, whether she needs to go back to Nigeria for that. I'm not sure because I did all of mine in the UK already. But while you wait, I think UK is a good option if you are not going, if they will not make you go back to Nigeria for anything again. If they're going to allow you to continue the process in the, maybe Bosdi, if you know, if they're going to allow her to continue the process in the UK, then it's a good option because, yeah, you can stay in the UK for a short time and go.
Yeah. So,
and then you can stay long too.
yeah, so I've actually been in contact with some people who did something like that. But one of the things that I see that is very, very common is most people take that decision and they don't inform their agency. And then they have issues later on because their agency, most of them are hoping that you're still maintaining your skills in your home country. So they've employed you. So when your agency gives you contract, they have actually employed you. The only thing is that you're not working. So they are not paying you, but they have employed you. So when they give you that contract, they expect you to maintain your skill set to the time that you come over. They don't want to have a breach in that skill set. And some of you, when you start processing the UK route, you stop working and, to them, you're losing your skills because anytime you stop working to them, it feels like you're losing your skills at that point, okay? Then after that time, you go to the UK, instead of working in a hospital, maybe, for instance, you're working in a care home or something like that, and you work there. After, when you come back again and they notice that you're now in the UK, and that you are in a care home, it will be difficult for them to get you back because the skill set they believe is not going to be the same anymore. So always good to discuss with your agency. Of course, most agencies will tell you no, okay? But when you insist on what you want to do, especially now that there is retrogression, they will have no choice than to, allow you to do what you want to do. And if they start threatening to stop, then you weigh your option. You already passed your NCLEX. You can as well get any agency at any point. If they say, okay, we're going to terminate you if you make this move, and you think, okay, I have my NCLEX, I can get another agency, or you did self-sponsor, you can do it by yourself, then I think that should be a good option for you. UK is very easy to come by. If you apply, I think you should be able to get an answer, from them within 6 months. So that makes it easy for you and your family. But I'm very, very hopeful that we're going to become current very soon. And by the time we do that, I expect that things will move very quickly for those of you who are already in the pipeline. That's why you have to be in the pipeline. You have to be in the category of people who have passed NCLEX and who are working on, their immigration papers already. All right. So I'll take these questions again. Let me be a little bit faster. Please, what is the important question to ask before taking a contract? So before you can accept a contract, first of all, find out where you're going to work. It's a very important question to ask. Most agencies will not tell you where you're going to work. And then some of them will end up, dropping you in the middle of nowhere where you will have no support, where the number of people that is living in that community is less than 5,000. It's just like before you can get something, there's places like that in the US where before you can get something to you buy something or something, you have to drive a distance to get. So it's not like those places are not safe, but there are no opportunities. Okay, there may be one hospital there, so which means if you have to pick another job, if you are already good with your skills and you want to pick another job, it will be difficult for you to do that because you have to drive like 2-3 hours to get your. You have to drive very long distance to get the next hospital where you want to work in. Okay, so those are the things that you have to consider where. Okay, so some will tell you, some will not tell you, but it's always good to have an idea of where you're going to. All right. Again, you have to ask about the prevailing wage determination. Does the agency have it? Does the hospital have it? If they don't have it, when would they get it? Can they allow you not to sign till they get it? So those are the things you can ask them, because if you don't ask some of these questions, to be a problem. Then the almighty, how much am I going to be paid, is also a good question. Some people come in here and then you sign the contract and that contract says you'll be paid $21 an hour. Then you come in here and then you go and ask somebody that you work with and the person said, oh, I'm paid $50 an hour. You say, blood of Jesus. So these people have been eating my money. Oh my God, I'm going to. So a lot of people do that. A lot of people do that. And then they'll start pulling fire and brimstone on their agency. But agreement is agreement. You didn't have that opportunity to negotiate, to bargain. You didn't say anything because you felt like where you are currently, you need to move ASAP. And then you're here 6 months down the line, you're beginning to compare yourself with people who were able to negotiate. So just I'm begging you, look at those contracts very well. Look at what you're signing and make sure you're signing. And another thing again is the contract duration. I've had a training on these questions that you guys are asking me. Always make sure you come for our program, because I've had a training on what you should ask your agency. I've dissected everything. I had a full PowerPoint that like a compilation of everything that I've ever been asked on this journey. And I shared it with you guys. And it's also on YouTube. So go to my YouTube, click on the subscribe button so that you can always get links of all our videos. Like this one we are doing now, we're going to send it there and it will be there for people who would watch it later. Okay, so those are the things you ask. Contract duration. So some people come in here, their contract says 3 years. And then they work 2 years, they'll be like, they call their agency, can you let me go now? I've worked 2 years. But your contract says 3 years. They say, no, your contract says 3 years. You have to complete your 3 years. I'd be like, no, this is just a rip-off. I'm going to leave you. I will resign. I will leave you. If those ones want to sue you, it's very easy. I'm telling you, contract is a legal document. I'm telling you, contract is a legal document. Once you sign it, it's binding. Okay, so once you sign that contract, make sure you follow through with whatever it says. Just for tomorrow, just in case, just giving you advice, just in case, make sure you follow through with what your contract says. Before you sign it, pray very well and read it very well. Make sure that the terms are something that you can do. You understand? When I came in here, I made up my mind, I'm going to stay with my agency for at least 2.5 years, because my agency we are doing in hours. So it's either you stay 3 years with them or you do 6,240 hours. And my hospital allowed me to work overtime. So I was able to do all those things within 2 years and 2 months. I was able to finish my 6,000 hours and I was free. And I even worked in the hospital more. But trust me, in that same hospital, we are like 50 nurses that were sent to that hospital. It's only 2 that finished their contracts. Only 2 nurses that finished their contract, one of them, and then a Kenyan lady. Okay, so all these things is, okay, what do you sign? And then it was COVID, so a lot of people had reasons to stop. Some people come up a day at work, you come, 10 people resign. That's what we're hearing during COVID. You come to work today, say 20 people quit. 30 people quit, that kind of thing we're hearing. And most of them were agency nurses who wanted to travel. And they traveled and they made their money, But thing is, if God wants to bless you, it doesn't matter what how you think you're smart, He will still bless you wherever you are. That's what I believe. So always be true to your word. If you sign something, make sure you keep it. All right, so that's a few things I can say, but for more, go to our YouTube and check our presentation on agency versus direct hire. That's the name of the video, agency versus direct hire. So you look it up and you see all the things that I discussed there, both the money and everything, compensation, health insurance, and that's true. We're also going to bring somebody to educate us on credit system of the US and then health insurance. I'm going to bring somebody to give us more insight about the US credit system. All right, so we have another question. It says, please, good evening, I'm just joining. Welcome, Nkechi Erica. So another question says, the diploma nurses that do their degree in UK for 1 year and 1.5 years, is it true that they don't accept the degree in US and other European countries? This is for you, Lynda. Lynda, trust me, I'll let you go in next 5 minutes. I'm sorry.
So I think I think what's happening is that if you're working with agencies, some agencies will make you to go and complete certain hours, because in the UK, their own curriculum, it's not as encompassing as the one we have in Nigeria and other countries, right? So I think they make you to specialize in adults, pediatrics, mental health, and all of that, and that makes it different, because for other countries you have to do everything. So, but recently people are beginning to, instead of using CGFNS, they use, I think, ERS or something like that, and then they are able to go to verify their document. But I believe they do some courses, a top-up course, to make them to qualify at the end of the day. So, but for CGFNS, usually they make them to go through, like some people that attended the recruitment program with our agency in the UK, they told them to do some courses so that they are able to make up the hours, certain hours in maybe community health and some other aspects of nursing that the adult nursing doesn't have. So it's possible, but they might ask you to do certain courses so that you can meet up with what they have in the US.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We're going to run now. So someone is asking, can one use Canadian ATT to write NCLEX RN? Of course. I think there shouldn't be any problem with using Canadian ATT. If you have ATT, it's ATT, you can use it to write, because if you're in Canada, there is nothing more to do. You just book your NCLEX and write. So ATT is authorization to test. You only have to book that NCLEX in when you're booking or scheduling your NCLEX, they're going to ask you, is it Canadian? The way it comes is US and Canada, then Australia. There are the Pearson VUE categories. Okay, if you're doing Australia, there's a type that you register for. If it's US and Canada, there's one that you register for. So just choose that US and Canada and schedule your exam, go get your visa, and then you go and write your exam. And that's a good thing for some of you that is doing the Canadian route. You can actually do this to get yourself more ready for the program. Okay, you can actually go up all the way to getting yourself to pass your NCLEX. Okay, that way, even if you want to get to the US, it's just endorsement that you have to do. We have hired people from Canada. The last person we hired from Canada is in Prince Edward County, oh, the province, yeah. So the lady actually is endorsing in New Mexico right now, and she's not writing any other exam. She's just going to endorse in New Mexico, and then she will come in here and she will start working. All right, so I think it's even a faster way to do your process. I'm even looking at it. I'm very, very, conservative about it, but I'll give more information because it's very, very easy for you to right now get an ATT through the Canadian route. But once you get it, you go right to your NCLEX and then come over and endorse it in the US. If you want to do that, it's also very, very acceptable. Okay. So, boss, if one signed a contract and they have not done anything for you, if you don't want to follow them again, is there any consequence? There is no consequence, but you have to get a written dissolution of contract or agreement. That's dissolution of agreement from them that even if it's an email that you send them and you tell them, please, I have something and I'm not willing to work with you guys anymore. Please accept this as a formal notice of resignation or, my pulling out of the contract. You just word it and wait for their response. Whatever they respond, if they say, okay, noted, we have, taking you off our schedule, that will be your evidence. Keep it, print it out, put it in one of your files so that nobody comes up tomorrow and say you breached the contract. Okay, so that will be a legal tender for you, in case of any problem. All right. And then someone asked, can one use, I have answered that question and I've answered that, oh Lord. That same question repeated for many times. God of mercy. You really wanted this answer, huh? Okay, please. Sir, what about Gateway? Are they good agencies? Trust me, I can't keep up with all the names now. There's so many of them. The only one I know I can talk about now is Decency Staffing Solutions. So come join us. We are good agencies. Just that we are not sponsoring right now, but it's in the pipeline. Okay, so, but you can come join us and we would make sure you get to where you want to be. And then someone says, please, please, boss, try to get a Davia agency as well to speak. it's always, okay, I'll try, but it's always, to them, I don't know if they're going to see it as a competition because, we do the same thing that they are doing. I know Westways do the same thing that, but we have an understanding, okay? I don't want somebody who will come to my program and say, oh, decency is not good, or come to Adavia and the rest of them. So we really want to stay, true to what we are telling you, make sure everything we are telling you is what we can defend. For me, I can only talk about myself. They asked a lady, an old woman, who can you defend? I was carrying his child on the back. He said, I can only defend the one that is in my tummy. I cannot defend the one on my back, So I can only defend myself in this situation because I know what I can do. I was an agency nurse. I know the pains of going through an agency nurse, and I wouldn't want anybody that comes through me to pass through the same. So that's the vision and the passion behind what I'm doing. All right, looking for OR cardiothoracic nursing theater in the US. So you have to get in first, okay? But when you're getting in, try to make sure you get into a hospital that do open heart surgery. And how to know those hospitals is just when the agency or whoever you're working with is getting you a job offer, ask them, is that hospital a level 1 trauma center? If they are level 1, they are doing open heart. So get in there. And before you know it, indicate interest that I want to be in the open heart section, and they will put you there. Okay, can I get help for Prince Edward? I think you should chat me up at the end of the day so we can talk about this Prince Edward Island, okay? Can I get link for CNA jobs or a reliable agent? CNA jobs, I believe it's a certified nurse assistant. I hope it's not CRNA because some people actually mistake CNA and CRNA. They are two different things, okay? So if it's certified nursing assistants, I know there are some links that Lynda has on her profile about carers in the US. So you can follow Lynda and find out some of those information about carers because this CNA, they are also like carers here in the US. So you can follow her and get that. I think you shared that today, right? It was shared today because I follow you too, right? Did you share that today or you shared it long ago?
Yeah, I think it's long ago.
Oh,
But
really?
one thing I have to say about that is that it's different, for the carers route, it's not like nurses. When Worldwide Staffing Solution, they were taking nurses who are in the process. That's what I try to for those ones, like the one that they have a partnership with Gateway and then Worldwide Staffing Solution, is that they are taking nurses who are already in the process. They want to get their license, but they have not yet. So they will allow you to come to the US and make sure that you complete your NCLEX process and pass your NCLEX and become a registered nurse. So that's where people get it so if you're already a nurse and then you are in the process, then you have a chance of getting into their program, and people say that they are succeeding in it. But then the carer one is not skilled. So the visa is still EB3, but it's not classified. It's like EB3, the third category, where if you're unskilled, then you can become a carer. So in the US, they are going to see if there is no certification. They are not going to check if you're a nurse or if you have a training for healthcare. But that one is going to be like maybe you're caring for people's children, or it's not going to be healthcare. It's not healthcare related, so
Oh,
it's termed as
I know
unskilled.
that.
But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
CNA is actually seen as a skilled
Skilled. Yeah,
work in the US. So you need to have a certification and a
right,
training. So certified nurse assistant, you see. So the
right.
carer one is different. Then the CNA one
Yeah,
is the one that the Worldwide Staffing Solution, the Gateway, that's the one
yeah.
they have. Then the carer
Mm-hmm.
is different. So if you're a nurse, I feel like continuing to build your experience and skill will be more beneficial to you than the carer. The carer should be for maybe for people who want to get into the US and then study nursing, not
Mm-hmm.
for someone that is already a nurse.
Mm. Wow, thank you. I remember that. I know I've come in contact with some people who are living with other people here in their houses in the US. And I asked them questions and they say they got them from these neighboring countries and even from Africa. And some of them are they're here just to take care of their children, do their domestic chores, and they are paying them. Some of them even get into school, like online school. They stay at home and do their online school, and they are paying them after their contract is done, they go back to their country. I've come in contact with that. But if you're a nurse, why stoop so low to take that when you can actually come in here and work as a registered nurse and make the most of your money? Because that's like, it's like I see, I don't want to use, imprisonment, but you're going to be in that person's house. You're going to take care of the person 24 hours. You're going to be in the person's house. Is a living nanny, so to say. Most of the ones I've seen,
Okay.
they are like
That's a little
nannies.
yeah, they have that. They have like the domestic visa. I think that's the one that you're describing. But the
Right,
carer one is like, that one is still more difficult to get, right? But because it's like green card, it's
right.
actually in that EB3 category, the third one,
Category,
and they have the
okay.
unskilled one.
Okay, okay,
So you
okay.
can get a job, but it's not going to be, maybe it will be like looking after people, but it's not going to be classified as skilled. So I don't think I recommend it for no, I don't even recommend
No,
it for nurses, because
no,
it will hurt your years of experience, right? You can't be, if you want to work with agencies and then you tell them you're not working as a nurse, that doesn't make sense. So,
that's
and
true.
even though you're getting your green card, but if you have worked so hard to become a nurse, then you don't want to like create that gap in your experience. So,
Okay, that's good. I get it now. That one is different from the one I was thinking about. Okay, can one stay back in the US after a conference? Don't ask me a question that I cannot answer. I will not tell you to stay back in the US after a conference. No, that's not legal. Actually, I advise people on what is legal. All right. So it's not legal for you to remain here after a conference. You become an illegal immigrant. Okay. And then there's people, they call them ICE, ICE. Okay, when they get you, you're in your next flight to your country of your choice, the place that brought you. That's where you get. So always try as much as possible to do the right thing. Okay, when you do the right thing, you reap, even if it takes time. Don't worry. When that time comes, those years that you waited, you won't even remember them anymore. You won't remember them. So try as much as possible to do the right thing. So Nurse Eze, please, can I have your U? I think that U is for YouTube. So please, can you put your YouTube link for us in the comment section, Nurse Eze? Okay. And then someone says, please, for someone in UK, if I'm to sponsor myself to write NCLEX, is there any document that I will have to get from my present employer for NMC verification, because I wouldn't want them to know? Okay. This is for definitely for Lynda. Definitely for you.
so what's that question again? Sorry.
That if the person is to do a US immigration, is there any document that he will need to get from his employer, not NMC, his employer? He wouldn't want the employer to know.
I think there is a way my agency did it that time. Like, you don't, they also understand that some people don't want to make their employer like start looking at them as people that are going to leave very, very soon. So I think they do it in such a way that you don't have to go to them for anything like that. I know they will ask for references and all of that, but it's avoidable. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it's avoidable because they don't have your license and all that. So usually the main thing is usually between the NMC Nigeria, if you're in Nigeria, and NMC and maybe CGFNS or whatever you're using in the US. Then when you eventually need to get a job, like when the time for you to now get a job, maybe they will ask you for references and all that. You be the one to decide who you think can be. You don't have to go to your employer, maybe your friend at work that is a matron. You know how you go about it so that not everybody will know. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So and the last, I would have said the last question, but it just keep popping in. So someone is said, I'm a certified perioperative nurse in Brazil, but here only the technical, I believe I know what you're talking about, nurses do scrub nurse. For this reason, I have no experience in that. Is it advisable I do a course on surgical instrumentation before coming over to the US? Because I'm planning to work as an OR nurse in the US. You don't need that. Actually, concentrate on what you're doing currently, because here in the US, they have techs. Techs will scrub your cases, not you. So you can be very good at what you're doing. Keep on doing what you're doing. You don't need to scrub any case. You will just have to make sure that the OR room is okay. Everything is going on well. Get their medications for them. Get their blood if they need it. Bring your patient to the room. Make sure the patient is safe during the surgery, and make sure that after the surgery you do all your closing count. You don't leave anything on the stomach of the patient and everything. Do your count correctly, because it can put you in trouble. A lot of people do forget like things here, like forceps, scissors. Here you will see an instrument. See, whatever you've seen in other, don't worry. Here you will see instruments. There are some surgeries you will do, lots and lots of instruments. So it's very easy to forget things in cavities. So always make sure that you do your counts very well, so that there is nothing lost in the stomach of the patient, or in the cavities of the patient. All right, so here you will be fine just being an OR nurse and not scrubbing. Okay, can I stay back in? So I was being an OR nurse in the US for almost 4 years, and I never scrubbed. The only time that I scrubbed was when I was charging, and then somebody called out on me. My tech called out on me, and because I have the experience, I have to just say, okay, you know what? I'm charging us. I'm not doing much. So I gave my phone to the other nurse and I scrubbed the case, so that the other nurse can just take calls for me. So that's the only situation where you have to, but you don't necessarily have to. Most hospitals don't use their nurses to scrub, but some other hospitals might, tell you, okay, we'll train you, we'll try to use you, but they'll be gentle with you. They will know you're helping them out, because ordinarily it's not your field. It's not what you're supposed to do. Okay, can I stay back in the US? This person is still asking me this conference question. After attending conference, if that your 6 months visa expires, you are just going to be an illegal immigrant, and then you cannot work with B1, B2 visa. I had it before. I came to the US in 2015 by myself, and I left. I went home. I didn't work, because I know that visa is not work permit, does not have work permit on it. And they will tell you this is not a work visa, so you can't use it to work. Okay, so for me, my advice is have your plans. If you really want to do your stay back, make sure you have a plan. Some people come with that, and then on the process, they change their mind and say, I want to go for further studies. You can go to school. You can come in here and enroll in a course and change your visa status from B1, B2 to student status. And then you can have more time to stay in the US. You have little time to work, and then from there you can start thinking about what next to do, what next step that you can take. I believe this is the extent I can go. I'm not a lawyer. This is a disclaimer, but I'm just telling you what I've seen other people do. If you need more information, link up with me and we can both talk to an attorney. We can get an attorney and both of us can talk to him. All right, so certified nurse assistant, okay. Please, boss, what is the questions to ask agencies? Okay, I believe you came late. I will share the meeting link, and then you can listen to this. Also look out for the video that we shared on YouTube, that is agency versus direct hire. You can find some other questions that you can ask your agency. So what is the fellowship contract? I don't understand by what you mean by fellowship contract. Do you know what fellowship contract is? Cynthia, you can reward the questions before we finish. Good evening, Mr. Decency. Is there a way you can help us with job offer for Nova Scotia? Currently in the pipeline. I'm not promising, but we are working on it seriously. I will be more than happy to assist with that. We are working on it very, very well. And with time, you're going to see us have another program like this, and it's going to be an immigration lawyer from Canada speaking to us about this job offer of a thing. All right, so hello, Decency. I'm still waiting for the link for jobs. If you have my number, just reach out to me so that we can talk about the jobs, okay? All right, Lynda Eze, happy to see you here. Being current with your YouTube videos. Even before I started preparing for NCLEX, please keep the good work up. Lynda, you are really affecting lives. Thank you so much. God bless you. All right, so thank you, Sophia. And then another one is Nena. Nena say thank you so much, Boss Lynda. And then thank you, Boss Decency. And this is really educative, inspirational. Thank you very much. That's what we want to do. We want to educate. I want to inspire you guys. And Lynda is also part of my team. Lynda has been an instructor in my academy, and she's also still an instructor until she became very, very hard to get, but she's still one of us. So we've been together for a very long time, and I want to thank Lynda today for honoring our invitation, coming to shed more light about all the opportunities that we can benefit from. It's now left for you. We didn't give notes out, but it's left for you to go out and research more about all the things that Lynda have said. And I would like Lynda to give us a closing kind of a closing remark, just something, a word for everyone that came in here today, please.
So thank you so much, boss. Thank you for this opportunity. I really, really appreciate it. I'm always happy to share my experience. And thank you everyone for staying till the end. Thank you so much for joining this. And I really, really wish you the very, very best. I pray that God helps you to make the right decision. And even as you wait, to also continue to make the right decision. And at the end of the day, let it be that whatever decision that you make, and if you eventually find yourself in any of these countries, that it will be worth the wait, it will be worth the time, the effort, that you will be happy at the end of the day that you made that move. So I wish you the very best, and I hope you join us in the US.
Yeah, I hope they join us too. I know they're going to join, and they'll chat you up on your YouTube and say, Lynda, I was there when you spoke to us with Boss Decency, blah, blah, blah. I'm now living in Texas. Somebody here in this forum will be saying that, where are you in Texas? Now I'm here, and most of them will connect with you. So at least they know where you are. They know you are in Texas. I don't know which part in Texas. Texas is so big, but by that time, we'll find out. Okay, I want to say thank you to everyone that attended our program today. It has been amazing. I really appreciate you all. Thank you and thank you and thank you. I really want you guys, before you start leaving, please go to the comment section and say thank you to our guests so that I can bring more guests. If you really want me to keep on bringing guests to the program, please kindly appreciate the one that we have brought so far. Thank you all, and God bless you. Thank you, Lynda. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Orobemi, thank you. Abimbola, thank you. What's the name? Let me stop this recording.